Hey you guys, this is some Dragon Invasion footage that I've had for a while now, and I just really wanted to do a very thorough voiceover for it because I want this to be sort of the definitive guide that I do for Dragon Invasion and how to clear more levels of Dragon Invasion, regardless of the team that you have. Obviously this one is very strong. I don't want people to get too caught up with the BRs or the power, because whatever we do here can be an example for ways that you can clear more levels with your team. So whatever standard you have now, hopefully you can surpass it. And so I'm also going to do a blog post for that. I'm sure you can check out the link in the description, and I'll lay out all of the details about things that you can do to find more success in Dragon Invasion. Obviously, in Dragon Invasion, success is probably measured by how many levels you clear, and so that's what I focus on. Really basic stuff, bring an attack bet, fire, electro, or fire and electro. I'm sure if you have Tier Thor, it would be fantastic here. Also using very fast skills at these earlier levels. So for the mages, it's really going to be Ice Bolt. If you can do Dragon Invasion, you can have Ice Bolt on your bar. It is a class advancement skill or an advanced skill. And so that's a very nice choice. For the archers, really multi-shot, armor piercer, soul hunter are great. But everything the archers do is fast. They hardly have any slow skills. And then for the knights, it's going to be Death Warrant and Ultimate Slasher. So all of the stun skills are actually quite nice. Ice Bolt, Soul Hunter, Death Warrant, they all are medium damage and very, very fast skills and nice to use in Dragon Invasion. Other helpful things are getting into the fights fast and getting out of the fights fast. Getting into the fights fast, you have slightly less control over. It really depends on the quality of your computer to a certain extent. A better computer means that you can play Wartune more easily. By no means should you buy a new computer over playing Wartune or any browser game, but it does help, and so. Other than that, clear your cache once in a while, refresh before you do this dungeon, and just try to minimize your lag, and you'll get into the fights a little bit quicker. That allows everybody to choose their first skill very quickly, so you're not waiting on everybody to get into the fight, because the game will stall the fight until everybody is into the battle. Also, getting out of the fight very quickly is important. So there, you didn't even see the victory sign flash up, and that's the case for all of these fights. You'll only see it flicker a little bit, but you won't see the victory sign and just watching everybody stand there in all their glory. By clicking on the screen, so you can't see it. I don't have anything for my recording right now that shows when I'm clicking the mouse, but I'm clicking on the screen, and by clicking on the screen, you skip over that victory, or if you lose a failure sign, and so that allows us to get to the dice very quickly. If you click on the dice very quickly, that means that you can skip to collecting, and so that you can get into the next fights much faster. So we get through the dice within the first 5 seconds generally, and that really helps. The added, you can lose a lot of seconds at the dice, and so for sure this is one of the more helpful tricks. And then, right now we're getting into the period where we're using Thunder, we're using Delphix. I guess Robin's still using Armor Piercer, but she'll probably use a second skill or a rune. But there, my Thunder is enough. And then the next thing, and the most important thing, are the Wind Rangers. So definitely this is a big change from my previous Dragon Invasion videos, is that we all have Wind Ranger, and we all only have one skill equipped on the Wind Ranger other than a Delphic. So I do have one Delphic, but those are only triggered if I click R or F, and then the other skill is Cursed Arrow. And Cursed Arrow is a fantastic skill. It causes the target, its target to take an increased amount of damage by 40%, for 2 turns, and that's very nasty. Just one Wind Ranger doing that is already pretty mean, but when you're talking about 4 Wind Rangers, the buffs actually stack, and so if you have 2 Wind Rangers, it's going to be an 80% increase, 3 120% increase, and then with 4 Wind Rangers, you're up to 160% increased damage, and that is very, very nasty. I would absolutely take my word for it when I say that they stack. I don't show the buff in here. You know, I do think that it's either a typo or a buff. I mean, or a bug. Not a buff. Well, it is a buff, but so that it's a typo or a bug that they work this way. I have been a little bit timid about doing this Dragon Invasion video because I was concerned that it was a bug, but they haven't really done anything about it for quite a while, and so I'm sort of at the point where I consider a Dragon Invasion technique. It's not anything like, you know, there are Spire bugs where you can get out of doing all of Spire. I think they patched that one. They actually patched the Spire bug that allowed people to not do Spire Nightmare. And get all of the stuff. So really, it's not like cheating to get rewards or just to like magically make stuff appear, and you still have to work for it. And so to me, this is less of a bug than a lot of other stuff in the game. So, you know, use it at your own risk, but I really think that it's more of a typo and that the buffs do stack. And so in order to use this effectively, you only want to have Cursed Arrow on your U-Demon's skill set. For sure, it's very predictable, and so you know, everybody will cast Cursed Arrow, and then 30 seconds later, the kids will cast it again, and so you can time it so that your really strong skills are casted as the Cursed Arrow buffs are hitting the boss. And that allows you to get a lot of damage. If you use a Brutality rune before that, my Brutality rune I think increases my damage by 25%. So in total, that's 185% increased damage. With a crit, we're talking about I can Thunder for, you know, 14, 15 million crits on the bosses, and with a Sylph Delphic, I think I can get close to 20 million. When it's your turn to Sylph, you know, you should arrange with your teams, you know, who's going to be Sylphing when. So far, you really haven't seen us Sylph much. In Boss 14, I think Midori did make it into Sylph mode very briefly, but because this team is very strong, we actually probably don't need to Sylph until this level. Here I'm going to get killed off by the boss's auto kill. But the key here is to use a Brutality rune at the beginning, then a big skill, so either a Delphic or Thunder for the mages, and then finally go into Sylph mode. Don't immediately go into Sylph mode because people have a tendency to go into Sylph mode, use one skill, and then use their Delphic immediately. But if you use your Delphic as quickly as you can when you Sylph off the bat, you won't be able to use that Delphic when the Cursed Arrow buffs are in play. So you want to make sure that that 160% damage bonus is for sure on the boss before you use your Sylph Delphic to maximize the amount of damage that you can deal. So here we can watch Robin and Midori. They'll be going for this boss, and they'll do a nice job. So Brutality rune, then a Delphic, then Awaken. So Robin and Midori both awakening. There we are. So now Robin's not going to use a Sylph Delphic until the Cursed Arrow buffs are showing on the kids again, so that she can use a couple skills. So right now she's using Thunder Strike. Midori's using Infernal Inflammation on her fire pet. Now Robin's using Jupiter's Wrath. And so here, now the Cursed Arrow buffs are coming back on the kids. And that is finally when Robin uses her Sylph Delphic. Midori's got her Fire Sylph Delphic as well. And so they're dealing huge damage. I think that was a 14 million and 11 million crit. So those are huge amounts of damage. You clear the boss very quickly, get to the dice fast with the techniques that we were talking about before. And yeah, good stuff. So it was a little bit hard to show there, but you can go look back at the rewards. Starting at level 16, you start getting drops with Vulcan clamps in them. The ones showing in the chat right now don't show the clamps because some of them are a chance at gold as well. But basically, it's 5 times the amount of gold. So before is 100k or 200k gold. Now it's 500k or 1 million gold. The number of hooves increase from the rewards, and there's a chance at 5 Vulcan clamps. It's very strange that there are so many here without any clamps in them. The number of clamps are actually quite good, and so that's very nice. It helps my clamp income a lot. I've been doing Lich Lair Hell for Stithies now because really actually it's harder for me to keep up with Stithies than it is for clamps, and that it's largely in part because we clear usually 16 and 17 here. This group is getting close to being able to do 18. I can even now, after the Holy Forge event, the rest of my group that I usually go with is getting very close to being able to clear 18 without. I think I could clear 18 with Robin now. If we did this again, we get very close in this video. So they're just showing all the drops. So you do get a nice chunk of clamps, and it's 5 per drop if it does drop. And so that last video, it was maybe and myself that sylphed, and if you look back, we do the same sort of technique as Robin and Midori did in 16. So it's really just brutality, Delphic or Delphic or Thunder, Sylph, 1 or 2 basic Sylph skills until the U-Demons are showing the second set of Cursed Arrow buffs, and then the Sylph Delphic. And that's just a recipe for huge damage in this dungeon, and is really the key to clearing these upper levels. Definitely once you start hitting, level 14, definitely level 15, the bosses start hitting harder. There is some risk of losing your U-Demons. By all means, even if you aren't planning to use Wind Ranger as your main PvP U-Demon, which I think there's lots of legitimate arguments for why Wind Ranger might not be the best PvP kid, but by all means, at least build up one a little bit, so a few levels at least, so that it's not dying too quickly, and use it for this dungeon, and for world boss and things like that. It's really the best PvE kid because the Cursed Arrow buffs are so reliable and predictable. The Blood Warrior does have some interesting skills that increase the amount of damage that you deal, but they're much less predictable, and some of them are chance based. So I think that really the Wind Ranger is the ideal U-Demon for PvE. So here we get so close to beating this guy, and we don't make it to the dice. So he's out of HP, but we're all out of time. So big thanks to Robin, Midori, and Maybe for joining me and always being good sports about the videos. I hope that this helped you guys out. Again, you can check out the blog post. I'll have the link in the description, and it will lay out all the details that I go over in this video. So if there are any little tips that you guys use in Dragon Invasion to go faster, I would love to hear them. If not, I hope this helped you out, and that there are things that we can learn from each other. Thanks for watching, take care, and have a very good day.